Welcome back to another edition of Pistons Daily, where you can find daily content covering all things Detroit Pistons, Monday through Friday. As always, I'm your host. My name is Kyle Garrison. I'm over on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2, where I talk all things Detroit sports. So head over there, give me comments, questions, concerns, episode ideas. I'd love to hear from all you guys. Also, shout out to everyone who tunes in every single day. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way to help support the channel. With that being said, let's jump into a Wednesday edition of Pistons Daily. So first topic I wanted to touch on is Ausar Thompson was kind of asked about the impact that him and Holland can have together this year, and he was quoted saying, just being able to cause chaos and turn it into offense, make those fast breaks, and be able to get as many stops in a row in general when we're on the court. That's what we will bring to this team. And if this is going to be a year where you really are trying to get a proof of concept while still being competitive, then by all means, let's see as many Ron and Ausar minutes as possible. I mean, I understand the lack of floor spacing is a little bit of an issue, but I also think that having both of these guys together on the court, even in just condensed minutes. I don't want to see them start together or get extended 8-9 minute stretches, but little spurts where you have them on the floor together for 3 or 4 minutes at a time is going to be a nightmare for opposing offenses, because we know what both of them bring to the table defensively, especially Ausar Thompson. I mean, he's the catalyst on defense for this team. He's unbelievable, and he's going to continue to grow. So having Holland kind of watch film with him and study the game with him and get a better understanding of how to be an elite defender in this league is going to be very, very beneficial, because this team traditionally has not had great 3-and-D wings. And I know that Ausar Thompson's not going to be a 3-and-D wing, but Holland has the ability to be that, even a 3-and-D power forward at times, being 6'8". So the fact that you have your 2 fifth overall picks, your athletic wings, understanding the type of impact that they can have at 20 and 22 years old is just extremely encouraging, not only for this year, but just going into the future in general. And especially if Ron's perimeter game can kind of round out a little bit more and he continues to just be efficient around the rim. We saw last year he was unbelievable as a rookie driving to the rim, and I expect that to continue to improve. If he can start to get more comfortable as a spot-up three-point shooter, and again, I've said this a million times, he's not going to be a 38%, 39% three-point shooter. We're not going to see him take that massive Jaden Ivey jump that he made last year from three-point range, but we could see him creep up into 32%, 33%. And again, as a second-year player, as somebody who came into the league as a non-shooter, that's going to be very, very encouraging going forward, and it's kind of going to give us a preview of what potentially can become from his three-point shot, because it is repeatable, it is very solid. He kind of has that hitch out of his jumper that he had a little bit last year, at least what we saw in Summer League. And if he can kind of translate what he did to Summer League even a little bit into the regular season, we're going to see a guy that they are comfortable with taking corner spot-up three-pointers and being a movement off-ball shooter at times, because again, this team has a lack of floor spacing, so any three-point productivity that they can get is going to be very, very nice going forward. And again, defensively, Ron and Ausar, they're going to be great. They're going to be unbelievable. And I like that Ausar Thompson touched on how the fact that he wants their defense to turn into offense and lead to offense, because this team is going to be tops of the league once again in fast break points and pushing in transition. So if you can have both of them filling the lane with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey pushing the break, and potentially Jalen Duren as a rim runner, I mean, that's going to be such a hard thing for defenses to prepare for, and I think is going to be a major, major skill set of this team as soon as game 1 of this year. But let me know in the comments if you'd like to see lineups featuring both Ron and Ausar, and just kind of what you think that might look like, what the structure would look like for those lineups going forward. But moving on, next topic, I know Tobias Harris has been a hot topic of conversation. Whether or not he's going to be the power forward for this team going forward is kind of up in the air at this point, but I just want to talk about what he said and just the leadership that he brings to this team. And he was quoted saying on his message to the team, he says, just reiterating that you don't get many of these moments, many of these situations. It's a very fast league, but this group, the culture that we've established, the personalities from guy to guy, it's a really special group to be a part of. And he also said they had 100% participation in off-season workouts. The group got together in Vegas, Texas, San Diego, building that camaraderie, but at the same time holding each other accountable as a collective group and making sure guys individually are taking strides. And the fact that this team finally has a veteran guy that he knows his role and he also knows what it means to be successful in the NBA. I mean, he's been doing it for a long, long time. He's been a part of some great teams, including Detroit in 2016. He was a major factor, and you fast forward 9 years later, he's still a major factor of this team. Obviously, he went to Philadelphia and he came back, but he's still such a detrimental part to this team. And maybe not detrimental, but such a crucial part to this team. And he's a guy that leads by example. So just really, really important to have a guy like Tobias Harris in a team filled with guys in their 20s. He just does such a great job of keeping everybody level-headed. And again, he said it himself, building that camaraderie, holding each other accountable, making sure that people are taking the strides that everyone knows they're capable of doing is something that I don't think we've seen in the Pistons organization in the past. I think everybody kind of went into the offseason solo and as lone wolves, and they went at it by themselves and not really taking into consideration how their skill set can affect everybody around them. But this team, they know what they can do. They know what they're capable of. And you got a guy like Tobias Harris who's bringing everybody together. He's rallying the troops. And it's just very, very nice to see that the Pistons finally have this. They have essentially a player coach in Tobias Harris who at some point in this league, I think that he could be a coach if he really wanted to be. He understands the game. He understands how to be I wouldn't say an unathletic player, but somebody that, isn't a guy that's going to fly down the floor and dunk on somebody. How somebody like that can build a career in the NBA, build a sustainable career, and continue to play very solid basketball into their mid-30s. So I love what he brings on the court, and most importantly, I love what he brings off the court. It's invaluable to this team. And I think it can really be the difference between being a play-in team and having a play-in motivation, or in going through the motions, or being a team that's an Eastern Conference contender that continues to exceed expectations and continues to make a push to win an NBA championship. So love that Tobias is still holding things down. Can't wait to see what he can bring on and off the court this year. And hopefully he still has a carved out role, maybe a little bit less with some more Ron Holland minutes sprinkled in there. But I do think that Tobias is still going to have a big impact. And I'm excited to see what he can do. But moving on, speaking of another leader on this team, Cade Cunningham kind of was just talking about different players on the team that he thought were having big off seasons. Obviously, he wasn't able to name everybody, so he was quoted as saying, "I feel bad now that I'm naming names because I'm missing out names. It's been a great summer. This has been the biggest off-season workouts I've ever seen, the best ran, most efficient, and I think it's going to lead into a great year for us." And this is just the last quote that I wanted to talk about for today, but he is the leader of this team. I mean, he's the franchise cornerstone, and, you have to be naive to not, recognize that. And I know everybody in the organization knows that he's the guy. So everything the Pistons are doing and have been doing this summer are to make him become the best possible player he can be. So when your guy doesn't come into the season with a nonchalant attitude, kind of giving off the energy that he knows he's the best player, it makes a big impact on everybody else. It makes a big impact on JB Bickerstaff and the coaching staff and Trajan Langdon and how he runs this team. And obviously, Cade's always been encouraging of his teammates. He's a very level-headed guy, but the fact that he's complimentary of how off-season workouts were just ran individually and talking about how efficient they were is encouraging, not only for this year, but just for how this team is going to be ran going forward. And we know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Trajan Langdon and JB Bickerstaff have come in, completely changed the culture of this franchise. They scrapped the 2010 to 2023 Pistons mantra that they had, and they've given this fan base life. So the fact that Cade is talking about it, he's clearly noticing behind the scenes what's going on to help this team be successful is very encouraging. Because again, he's still super, super young in this league, and he has so much room for growth and so much experience that he has yet to have. So just the fact that he's this mature and he understands what's going on, he understands how to build a championship blueprint is just very nice to see. So glad to hear that Cade is happy. He's enjoying how the offseason went. I mean, that just gives me even more confidence that this team is going to continue to exceed expectations. So Again, just really glad that Cade came out, said that, talked about his teammates, talked about the front office, gave credit where credit was due, instead of just talking about how he can continue to build on his individual accolades, like I think some, bona fide stars in this league tend to do. But last topic before we end the show, and speaking of expectations, today's expectation of the day is going to revolve around JB Bickerstaff. And what we saw last year is like I mentioned, he completely changed the mindset of this franchise. He made them a winning team again. He brought an edge to him. He brought a clear care for his players, for his team, for this franchise, for the city. And we haven't seen that for a while in a coach. And I think that is just very, very nice to see that, a guy who understands that being an NBA coach is ridiculously hard. And he knows that regression just is not an option. And we expect that now. We expect this team to continue to grow because he's talked about it. Trajan Langdon's talked about it. Every player has talked about it, and they notice what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm not sitting here saying that I don't think that's going to happen. I am saying it as an expectation because that's what I think is going to happen. So some of the expectations I have for JB just on the technical side of things is he has to get those rotations better. He has a better understanding now in year 2 of everyone's skill set, and I think he's going to capitalize on those areas we didn't see last year. Again, Ausar Thompson was on a minutes restriction. We didn't have Jaden Ivey for over 50 games plus the playoffs. We didn't have Isaiah Stewart in the playoffs. And so some of those lineup just missteps that I think JB Bickerstaff made had a lot to do with that. But again, with this team's current trajectory and the skills that they have and the players they have, and they're out of a rebuild now, there's an expectation that JB is going to build on last year, and he's going to continue to kind of gain an understanding of where this team has their most success, and that is being a defensive-minded, fast-break team. So both of those things are expectations now, and if you add some better half-court offense and you add some ability to take the pressure of ball handling off of Cade Cunningham a little bit more, those are just added bonuses to what JB Bickerstaff does well. So again, I have no doubt that he's going to work on that. He's going to get more acclimated to this team, and we're going to see him kill the rotations. We're going to see him understand how to put guys in the right spots to succeed. Once again, and last year he did that as well. I'm not saying that he didn't. But he kind of has his solidified young core, and now that it's year 2, he's going to start to kind of, those wheels are going to start to turn, and the rotations are really going to start clicking, and that's kind of the expectation I have for him. And I do think that, him being able to identify those different things and those different nuances with this team is not only going to affect this year, but it's going to have a ton of implication on how the next 5 years are going to kind of play out with extensions and potentially adding some talent to kind of push into championship contention, because that's, where this team is supposed to be headed with the leap they made last year. They're supposed to make a leap again and continue to grow throughout the next couple of years and potentially be a championship contending team. So we're going to have to see that from JB, and we're going to have to see a little bit of growth here and there. But again, very, very confident that he's going to be able to do that. And this is going to be a really, really fun year. But that's all I've got for you guys today on a Wednesday edition of Pistons Daily. As always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and follow me on Twitter over at Kyle Garrison 2. Also, head over to Spotify and leave a 5-star review if you can. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in every single day. And that is going to do it here for episode 70 of Pistons Daily.